Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who is joining us in now for this brilliant session titled How Digitization Can Help Maximize the Value of Your Building. We have some of the most prominent leaders and some of the most amazing experts in this field joining us from one of the biggest companies in India. And it's great to have them share their knowledge. So before I hand over the mic and screen to my moderator and my host, I'm just going to do basic hygiene factors for the Zoom interface. To all the audience joining us, one small request is when you post the question answers questions, please post it in the Q&A tab. There is a Q&A tab in your Zoom interface. Kindly post your questions only in the Q&A tab. Any issues with your audio or your video, request you all to please put them up in the chat session. My backend team is there to support you all and they will take it up. Again, I'm telling you, your Q&A questions will need to be posted only in the Q&A tab. The speakers would be taking this up at the end of the panel discussion. With this, I'm going to not take much time and hand it over to my country head of ITP Media, Mr. Bibor Srivastav.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's such great to see people joining us this day. The commercial real estate market has been in the midst of a transformation for the past several years, as the focus has been on keeping costs down, making spaces for more appealing to tenants, and offering energy-efficient infrastructure to meet the sustainability goals. However, the pandemic has caused commercial real estate companies to rethink providing services and functionality that prioritize health, safety, and compliance to tenants and those tenants, employers, and customers. Increasingly, commercial real estate companies are deploying IoT-based or smart technologies to achieve these goals, and not only for themselves, but also for their tenants. These technologies under HVAC control, access control, security and surveillance systems, lighting controls, energy management, among others. Whether it is cost savings, increased security, worker safety, or better energy management, these types of connected solutions not only provide efficiencies, but also lend themselves to creating new data sources that commercial real estate companies and tenants can use to drive business value. With the pandemic still causing persistent impacts, the stakes are at an all-time high for commercial infrastructures, and the marketability of these buildings entirely depend upon meeting occupant expectations to attract tenants. To keep with the emerging trends of urbanization, digitization, and sustainability, a complete digital transformation of building is long due. Digitization is the most plausible solution to create people-centric infrastructures that are designed for wellness. The webinar Digitization Help Maximize Real Estate Value aims to dissect the different aspects of increased quality, cost effectiveness, and attractiveness of properties in commercial buildings, which help them maximize property values and rents. During the webinar, we'll discuss the following topics: how digitization ensures occupant well-being in the workplace, how can it improve efficiency and monitoring, driving sustainability in commercial infrastructures, integration of communication and occupant engagement with digital tools. Ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely up for some very interesting conversation. And with me, I have the pleasure to introduce an exceptional moderator this evening, Indranil Basu, Managing Director, Project Management, South India, Couriers International. A seasoned project management professional, Indranil Basu has over 23 years of diverse real estate experience in delivering complex and acclaimed projects in India and abroad. Currently, the head of Southern India Project Management and Design Business, Indranil Basu's expertise lies in bringing maximum value for his clients through innovation in product positioning and technology, and integrating international standards, thereby augmenting operational efficiency and user satisfaction. Over to you, Indranil.
Thank you very much, Tibor. It's a very feel very humbled by your introduction, and thank you very much for a very, very pertinent topic. It's an extremely relevant point that finds resonance with every stakeholder in the real estate fraternity, and it's a need of the hour. And the panel of experts who have been chosen is a stellar panel of industry leaders, and I'm going to spend time with them, learning in the process from them on how this aspect of digitization is able to maximize, as you rightly mentioned, the value of our properties to various means, customer engagement models, occupant well-being, and we will learn from them. We'll take it forward. So without much delay, let me go ahead and introduce our panel of experts on this call. To start with, Mr. Srikant Srinivasan. Srikant is a leader with 25 years of experience in the field of project management, in contracts, in real estate, manufacturing, and supply chain in the power sector. Mr. Bhupesh Arora, business head, digital energy of Schneider Electric. He's driving business from low voltage systems. Is one of the leading automation and renewable energy solutions provider with our 24 years of experience. He's currently the business head of the digital energy division. Mr. Mukesh Gaur, chief of projects, person who requires very less introduction, with a background of electrical engineering. He, with his 33 years of experience, he's in the field of planning, execution, operations, and energy conservation across multiple projects across the country as well as abroad. Mr. Pradeep Dwivedi, another prominent face in the industry. He's a vice president projects, capital land, and Mr. Dwivedi is an expert in structural engineering, has over 27 years of experience in managing large assets involving townships, logistic parks, residential projects, and commercial developments across the country. Welcome, gentlemen, into this session. It's a privilege over here, and we will start with the live webinar questions right away. I will start the session with Mr. Mukesh Gaur from Bharti Realty, Chief of Projects. Mr. Mukesh, coming to this topic, the theme being the digitization, which is helping real estate values. There is a lot of talk which is coming about being disruptive with technology. So, what are, in your opinion, these disruptive technology trends, and how are they adding value to our buildings?
Good evening, everyone. Mukesh Gaur here. Let me just share with you, just I started this journey from 2006 onwards. Let me share with you a practical experience. Though at that time I was in Bharti and trying to change the company, and I went to Oberoi Hotels. Now I realized that facility is very good, but something is missing over here. At that time, this concept of digital marketing was not there, digitalization was not there. So, but one thing I could make it out, there's something missing over here. So what I used to do, we used to make some whiteboard and blackboard, and just for every equipment, we have started noting all these parameters. What your chiller is consuming today, what your water treatment plant is consuming. We are having a data for slowly, we were having a data for 1 year. Now, whatever happening, that this mostly NRI used to come to that hotel with a period of time. Our expert general manager has asked them just to go and see the engineering also. Whenever they came to the engineering, because they were very well aware about the hotel specification, about the hotel beautification. But when they came to engineering, they got something is different over here. Now, when they came over here, they used to have all the lot of data collection. In 18 months, that Uday Vilas was rated as a world #1 property. It was a word number one. Word number one cannot be by chance. They took the data from every department, and engineering secured 99% marks out of 100. So at that time, I was not aware about the digitalization. Then I came to Medanta. Medanta is a hospital. It's a people-centric hospital. Everybody wanted to cut down the cost of the operation. Now, operation cost was, doctors are doing best, but at the end of the day, it came to the engineering. They said your engineering, your electricity budget is for 1 year is 21 crore. Can we look into this? Then we start monitoring the data. We took the data for 3 years. then we realized that every year we are just shooting up by 11% to 14%. From 2014 onwards, we were having a data for every day. For last 3 years, we were having a data. We realized, for example, 14th June 2011, what was the energy cost? What was the energy cost in 12? What was the energy cost in 13? What was the energy cost in 14? Then after this, we started taking in what area maximum consumption is there. Then we start taking the corrective action. Then after taking the corrective action in 2005 onwards, its cost starting coming down to 8% to 15%. Now in last 5 years, once I was leaving this, this cost was same as it was in 2011, though hospital operation has been increased substantially by 300 to 400%. It was possible because of the noting down the everything through the digital media, digitalization. We were having, once anybody comes, we are having energy control center. It is being monitored by the experts, and when they see today this cost has been shooted up, so they just analyze why this cost has been shooted up yesterday. Now coming back to real estate. Now once once I came to this portfolio, then I realized that there is again some scope of doing something over here. Then what we did, then in the reception only we displayed over there what the PM 2.5 level is there in your building. Then slowly, a lot of people whosoever our tenant was there into our real estate whatever, because Bharti is into the leasing of the buildings. What we did, we collected the data and transformed this data on the reception itself. What was the pollution level at different part of the building? What is the water level contamination? What is the STP treatment? So this is what we have started doing all these things. Then we realized that whosoever, it has become the sales USP. Whenever any tenants comes, our marketing people always show them with a proud that other than this, we are doing these things also. We are slowly we are going for the carbon credit also. But digitalization has really helped us a lot, because if you see the valuation of the building, then some data is available. If somebody wanted to have a data, what was the reason 3 years back or 4 years back, you are having all these data. So in 3-4 years, but at the same time, what has happened, these digitalization companies who provide the services, their expertise has also increased. They are also coming up into the picture with a different products. So it has been, at the end of the day, once real estate, because of the corona or because of XYZ reason, they are suffering, rental value is coming down. So this is the right time for engineers. They can value add to the buildings, that whatever your bottom profit line, you can increase this further. Whatever the wastage you are just making, you can salvage it. It is a great journey for me for doing all these things. Again, we are making a building, and whatever the digital platform are there, we are just incorporating everything, and we will make an energy control center, so that whenever anybody comes over here, we should show them with the pride that this is what we have done. And cost of the building, cost of our building will be, the operational cost will be the minimal, so that it should be passed on to the client. And not only Bharti is beneficial, in that case, client is also beneficial. So this is what my journey is there in last 10 years almost.
Very interesting, Mr. Mukesh, to take through the journey that has happened, as you explained, over the years, and how the operations costs are being controlled and optimized. So going forward into the future, and taking a cue from what you have been explaining, what we have been in the past, that in recent times, we are coming across a popular saying, an old adage, that digital and real estate sectors go hand in hand under the PropTech banner. It's more of a synergy that is being brought in. So what are your thoughts on this in the aspect of taking this forward?
So this is what just I already tried to explain in my previous conversation. But what is happening, that real estate and digitalization is going hand to hand. The reason being, because whatever we are doing, we wanted to comply everything on the one place, so that whenever any tenant is coming, he should get all the information, not in bits and pieces. For example, if I have a dashboard of around which is having 10 information, and I'll share this information with the client or for example, if he asks anything else which is not covered in 10 things, I will try to add on that 11th number in that my dashboard.
Great. So it is actually making data more available in a more transparent manner where everybody can see, form opinions. There's a lot of feedback. It goes to the tenants or the end users, occupiers, what you say. That's what you're trying to say. It brings that.
More transparent with the tenant, more transparent with the tenant, so that they should not say that you have charged us extra or something. So more trust they do have in you, more transparent you are, your whatever your value of the building is going to increase.
So I think that's a very sure shot way of retaining and giving values back to your tenants who are coming to your as a brand, and it helps to bring another brand portfolio on this aspect. So I will move my next question to Srikanth Srinivasan from DLF. Srikanth, we all know that COVID has accelerated the advent of digitization in various aspects of real estate. So, how do you think, from your interface and your experience, how do you think it has impacted the sales and demand generation?
Thank you. I'll take the question. Firstly, a warm good evening to everyone present here, and thanks for the kind words, Ibrahim. Yes, I think you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. So, a decade ago, real estate and digital sort of didn't go hand in hand. They were both seen as, opposite ends of the spectrum. And that's primarily because real estate has always been seen as a late adopter of anything that's, tech driven or technology itself. And one of the biggest legacies of this pandemic is the acceleration that we see in the digital transformation that we have seen. So that's one of the biggest legacies that we see. And accelerated digitization has obviously positively impacted the real estate sales and demand generation. I feel a move to digital can offer long-term risk mitigation and increased confidence in the stakeholders. All of the physical distancing and the lockdown measures have only magnified the importance of digitization, all the more in commercial real estate. To authenticate the points, as you would know, a lot of developers are resorting to, being more active on digital platforms. We are working out more and more or newer strategies to engage with the customers digitally. Tools such as augmented reality or virtual reality or chat bots or conversational, AI, artificial intelligence, digital walkthroughs, online transactions, virtual property tours. So primarily, a lot of developers have invested in the digital sales and the leasing process. This is on the sales or the demand generation side. Insofar as the operational side is concerned, a lot of us have moved to have, for example, all the tenant communication has moved to online channels. There is more technology being put to use on a day-to-day basis to manage day-to-day operations. There have been virtual communities that have been created. So yeah, in essence, the advent of the pandemic and also, the lockdowns and all that we have seen has only accelerated the transformation of the commercial real estate to a more digitized format, to a more digitized environment. And I think the benefits will be there for everyone to see in the days to come. With or without the pandemic was more of a trigger. I think now that the ball has been set rolling, I think we'll see a lot more, measures of, developers adopting digital means or digital technologies or digital presence to try and, increase the demand and sales, sales getting generated. Yeah.
You're absolutely right in the sense that anyway, the good thing that India's story continues to be strong. And there has been a lot of pent-up demand, be it the residential sector, the office sector actually has been one of our key strengths in the country. So it has been a slow start, especially when it comes to real estate. But as you rightly mentioned, that more and more customers are now got really tech savvy and really embracing and using the digital marketing. And there are a lot of innovative things which are happening. And there is a lot of people are taking it up. People are very quickly adapting to that. So I think that's a great thing which has happened and actually helps the people and the community. So thank you very much, Srikant, for your point. So moving over from this topic is about digitization, which is the changes that you are saying and the need of new things coming up. It brings up to my next question, which is one of my favorite topics, and it is about innovation. And the recent developments, as I mentioned, has shown that key to remain relevant in the marketplace is a desperate need to embrace change and bring innovation. People are calling disruptive innovation, but I think innovation is a key word. So my question on this goes to Mr. Pradeep Dwivedi from Ascendas Capital Land, and it is about this context is about that while some leaders, some real industry experts and people who are the weathercock of how the industry grows and how where direction we move ahead. Some leaders, major leaders, are embracing and leveraging on emerging technologies, and some still remain hesitant. They are still inclined to avoid this. What are your comments on this? What should be done? What are your thoughts, Mr. Pradeep?
Hi, good evening, everybody. So if we see the overall real estate, and then there are three parts. One is development, operation, and the marketing. If we see the marketing, I think most of the companies were using digital technologies, even from the beginning, from last many, many years, because it was very easy for them to showcase their product. But when it comes to the development, where the maximum cost goes upfront, I would say that the pace has been very, very slow. And the reason is possibly because every developer operates in a different way. So even for the technology to adopt all those different ways is very difficult. You see that this is the only industry, maybe in my view, in the world that even starts with the buying of a sand and goes up to the constructing and putting it there. If you compare with any other industry, maybe the car manufacturing, everything comes in a certain component, and then you have an assembly line, and then it's a lot easier. If I go back in the history and if we try to compare that why other people are not using it, it's not that easy actually. Because if you see when the assembly line was first invented in 1913 and Ford put it there, 12 hours that a car needed to come out from the manufacturing, average time was 12 hours, and it reduced to 1 hour 33 minutes. The reason was very simple, because it was all a standard process. You see that if anything you want to monitor, control, improve, and automate, the most important thing is there should be a standard process. And somehow, like it or not, two different developers, even one developer, actually behaves in a different way on two different projects. And the idea that is being always coined that two projects cannot be the same, that everybody understands, but there is still need to at least standardize certain processes so that technology can be used. And if you go back to the technology providers, the biggest challenge for the technology providers, how to customize it for each of the, to meet the need of each of the project. So it's a difficult, and that's the reason I think it's not coming that way. In addition to that, I would say that the technologies that are coming in the construction, in the development side, maybe BIM, monitoring, and all those things, is still all those technologies developer can implement. But he needs the similar kind of a contractor, similar kind of a some subcontractors, means they should also understand and they should be capable of using that technology. And that may be the reason, if you see, this is a lot easier when you go in the operation. Because in the built environment, or you see in the linear infrastructure environment, it's a lot easier. So you might see a lot of technologies are being used in the operation and also in the on the linear infrastructure when it goes into the development. But yes, I would echo the same thing that Srikant said. I think this pandemic accelerated, and now people started realizing that if you face this kind of a pandemic again, how you are going to manage your development or operation or any other thing. So earlier people were not that willing. I think they were holding back, but now they all are willing to actually invest in implementing the technology. But yes, still there will be some level of, I think, mismatch. Some people will be the first goer. They will try to go use the technology, test it out. And that's good for the industry, because once they go and do that, possibly it will help the technology service providers to improve their technology, and that may be more useful for the people who are not testing it now but maybe thinking to go into that. And end of the day, what may happen, because implementing the technology will help actually to automate certain things in the near future, and also to monitor it remotely. There is no need person to be on ground to monitor the things. And maybe I think going forward, because if you see the construction, the biggest challenge has always been the labor force. And during the pandemic, it was even more worse. I think we all know what was the reason of that. I think the life is always important than any other thing. But at the same time, I think when it comes to the development, we need to see that how certain things can be standardized, can be made in the components, and also can be done remotely. Maybe like if you see any buildings that were basically on the either were on the prefab or were the pre-cost, they were the least affected buildings during this entire, because even there was a pandemic, those buildings, basically all the components were being manufactured in the factory, and factories were operating in the closed and you can say a more healthy environment. And when it was opened up, the construction again restarted, and it was just fitting one component over another. But the buildings that were actually running on the classical old style technologies, those are most effective. So I think that's the reason people realized it. Now they have to move towards BIM, towards other things, and also towards the remote monitoring systems.
It was wonderful to listen, and I think if people are listening to this live webinar, I think there's a lot of takeaways from what Pradeep has mentioned. Couple of summarizing few points which you mentioned is, one is, of course, there's a need for consistency, as you mentioned, that a project A of one developer cannot be different from one project developer. So the standard process, the process should rule development. So that actually is one of the things. The other couple of points, one point being, of course, the pandemic is really accelerating the need for technology to come in. And why not? Because this remote monitoring, checking of things, quality, BIM, integration with various technologies, which a lot of companies are trying to bring in. People would have discarded it in the past, but I think now people are realizing the need for it. And I think it is going to help the industry. And the third thing, which you also rightly mentioned, is people and developers, stakeholders, investors have to look into sunshine technologies like precast, composite steel structures, any new technology, precast, prefab, the whole ducting that can be done from the factory rather than putting 4 fitters on the side. It is so important, and it is very important we embrace this and again don't keep going back. That should bring success to the Indian real estate industry. Thank you very much for explaining these points in detail to us. I will move over with my next question, and it will be to Bhupesh. Bhupesh, Schneider has been, as we all know, a front runner in the cutting edge technology space in smart buildings. So my question to you is about, what are these technologies which is helping the real estate business to create world-class intelligence building? It can be a whole topic, but within the time and everything that we have, can you just educate us a little bit on this?
Yeah, sure, Indranil. Thanks. I'll just take some cues what Srinivasan and Mr. Pradeep mentioned in their conversation. I think they did talk about the need and the acceleration of digitization, which has kicked off, and this pandemic has accelerated everything. So we were treating digitization like an optional situation up till some time before, but I think we are moving from an optional requirement to a mandatory requirement. I think this pandemic, I can put it that way, has led this situation to accelerate while making it from optional to mandatory. I think automobile industry also saw many safety features which used to be optional. Now they are practically the standard part of their assets, what they are delivering. So commercial real estate to me is, I think, going through that phase, and most of these optional, good to have, must have things are becoming necessary things in the new world what we are talking. The assets were created primarily keeping in the cost efficiencies, tenant expectations, which used to be only some critical requirements of the tenants. But I think the current situation has accelerated the need of all these digitization, and with the new norms, the new SOPs which are coming up in place, the real estate is going into different paradigm shift. The tenants are seeing the assets which are more connected, more digital, more safe. I think it's not only the building safety which is now becoming one of the first concern, it is building and people safety. We heard Mr. Mukesh also talking about his hotel experience and healthcare experience, where he was talking about the patient well-being, and he was talking about the guest experience in a hotel. I think real estate is also getting that relevance in the current times, because everybody wants to go back to offices, and in an environment where the members visiting these offices feel much more safe. Hospital is an environment where everyone thinks, yeah, we will be taken care by the doctors, there are experts to take care of us. But real estate again never saw that kind of an environment. But with this, all these things are coming together and bringing all these needs, where everyone individually visiting those places are feeling much more safe, and in an environment which is healthier for them to operate on. So from Schneider, I think we have a lot of offers which we were already driving. I think the only thing is that the R&D and investment into those directions has accelerated furthermore, with the need getting changed, because I think the requirements are also getting changed and evolved. And we have host of IoT enabled products which can help create solutions for the new buildings, even for the retrofit or modernization of any kind of assets, what all the real estate companies are currently either building or modernizing. Because we should not see this real estate as a new built market, because what I'm seeing, there is a host of requirement which will now come from the modernization of all the existing assets, because the requirements have changed. Many tenants, they want to reoccupy the assets with some modifications. How fast we can adopt all these integrations or technologies which is there. So smart power networks, smart distribution networks of the building, and smart solutions coming from Schneider, primarily on the EcoStruxure stacks, which cover both powers and the building, and HVAC integration is going to be one of the. So we always used to create buildings with host of systems, softwares, products into our buildings, but never thought of connecting it to a common platform. So I think from Schneider, I think we can help all our real estate partners to create those assets which are interoperable and interconnected, agnostic of any OEM. So there are many platforms and many solutions which can come, which can host any connected solution into an asset and deliver the meaningful insights coming out of those assets. Because we create assets keeping in view the independent relevance of those assets within a building, but how collectively those assets can deliver the requisite values to those real estates assets which are created by our developer friends to their tenants is all the more important. The facility manager or the sustainability officers which are coming up in these tenants, because I think sustainability is also becoming an important topic apart from digitization and health well-being of the people. So I think meeting all these demands, our single stack 3-layered EcoStruxure platform can help deliver all these things for our real estate friends, because we create IP backbone driven architectures which are completely safe and meeting the cybersecurity norms. As we digitize more, the cybersecurity is going to play a very vital role. How secure are your buildings? Because you are making more connected buildings, which are prone to any kind of cyber attacks or cybersecurity risks. So I think delivering those solutions from end to end, from capex to the whole life cycle of those assets is going to be playing a very valuable role. Then delivering the seamless experience to the tenants, because tenants today would like to experience the seamless experience into various cities because they acquire different assets in different cities. So similarization of those virtual experiences, what a tenant is facing in these buildings, is going to be unique and similar when it comes to the kind of user interface. I'll just again give an example. We all are used to two different types of platforms when we use our mobile technologies, either an iOS platform or an Android platform. So I think we are heading towards that kind of an environment when we talk of our commercial real estate user interface to our tenants. And I think we are helping and we will continue developing those technologies which help deliver those seamless experience to the developers who are maintaining and creating those assets for their tenants.
Very interesting, Bhupesh. Thanks for this. I think there is a lot of, apart from new assets as well as clients willing to upgrade, there's one sector which is we are finding, which is coming up, that a lot of grade A developers in India are also going into refurbishment of the complete assets and campuses. So the need is not about making the structure new, but actually incorporating these aspects of technology, be it in HVAC control, BIM systems, IoTs, sensors in terms of supplies. And so they want to make the building modern, so that, and taking forward from what exactly Mr. Mukesh said in the beginning, is about how do I give back to my occupants an environment which can be controlled, which is transparent, which can optimize the cost further as we move on, because a lot of other aspects which you don't have a control. I think that this is an interesting point, and I think Schneider is adding back. Thank you very much on this point, Bhupesh. I will move over to an interesting set of themes, which is more digitization, how it is about sustainability and efficiency. And I will come over on this point again to Srikanth on this. Is that building occupants, as you know, are we keep hearing, we keep reading, we keep noting down through our research that they are demanding safe and future ready buildings. Now, DLF is a major player and has always been a bellwether to understand occupant needs. So how do you bring a competitive edge to your projects through technology in your new infrastructure? You briefly touched upon about chatbots and other things, most on the digital experience, but on this topic, can you just take us through on this?
Yeah, no, you're right, Anil. So, more so now than ever before, building occupants, especially our tenants, office goers, are all demanding an increased level of safety, their expectation in terms of future ready facilities, and to even be able to cajole them to getting back to work, we need to do a lot on our part. DLF, yes, has been a front runner insofar as future ready buildings are concerned, future ready office buildings are concerned. And the commercial real estate has been one of the sectors that has borne the most brunt of the pandemic. So yes, DLF, I think, is trying to address this in three key factors that drive the whole in getting the building occupants delivering more safety or future ready technologies. These three factors, I would label them as sustainability, technology, and safety. So, of course, all of these have some connection or the other to digitalization as well. Insofar as sustainability is concerned, all of our buildings are LEED Platinum certified buildings, all of our buildings, in fact. And back in Gurgaon here, where we have a bulk of our development, we have our own energy center, we have our own captive power plant. So a lot of, all of the power requirements, at least in a majority of our buildings, are catered to by the captive power plant. We also use a mix of wind and solar in most of our projects. DLF has its own, a couple of fire stations in Gurgaon and Delhi to be able to respond quickly to any emergencies. We have a centralized sewage treatment plant here, which we ensure that there is zero discharge. I mean, zero emission of water, zero discharge. All of this water is recycled and used for chillers, for horticulture requirements, for flushing requirements. All of our campuses are equipped, all of our buildings are equipped with, I don't know, electrical charging points. We even have, battery operated cars to operate within the campuses to kind of cut down on, usage of fossil fuels and the like. We've been able to achieve close to about 30% of energy savings by the, efficient use of HVAC and lighting, the right kind of lighting and the right kind of HVAC products. We have a lot of solar panels in most of our projects as well. So these are a lot to do with our sustainability, issues. Insofar as technology is concerned, and to give, an assurance to the building occupants that they are in a safe environment, we have now equipped all our offices with, the latest MERV 14 air filters. This is like a one step above the benchmark recommended by the American Society of, Heating and Refrigeration, Air Conditioning Engineers. All of our buildings are equipped with this. Of course, we have a lot of, building management system, security and access control. Schneider partners us in a couple of our projects. And all of our elevators that we use are regenerative elevators. So, there is energy saving that goes back into, helping us achieve green points. And then, so these are some of the points. Safety wise, yes, I mean, DLF has been one of the biggest proponents of safety in terms of fire norms. So we always go one notch higher than what is recommended. We've been multiple times winner of the Silver Sword Award of the UK. So we take great pride in making all our workplaces extremely safe. I can perhaps narrate an incident where there was this incident in the UK where a building clad with aluminum composite panel had caught fire. DLF proactively took upon itself to replace all the aluminum composite panels across all our commercial office buildings across India. So I think we spent close to 100 crores plus just trying to get, we've had no incident ourselves, but just as a precaution and to make the building safer for its occupants, we have gone about doing this on our own, changed all of the ACP cladding across all our commercial projects. And these are some of the measures that we are doing. And going forward, yes, a lot of digitization, a lot of data is getting, processed, assessed, and then to see how we can perhaps make the occupant experience better. A lot of technology is coming into the fore. A lot of with these three factors, I think sustainability, technology, and safety. These are the three key factors that drive our whole initiative. And we have a hashtag campaign on back to a safest return to work kind of a DLF for this one. So we are actually going the extra mile to make sure that all our building occupants have a safe experience, and all our buildings are future ready in that sense, energy efficient, sustainable, and have the latest technology built in. I think at a high level, this is what I'd like to add to this point.
And I think that's very interesting. And I think the key developers, we have Ascenders, Mr. Pradeep on the call. We have you on the call. Mr. Mukesh was from Bharti. I think this actually boosts investor as well as occupant confidence who are coming to India. This is not a country which is run by general practices of doing things. The standards are being lifted. Responsible developers are hearing what the occupant needs. I think that is extremely the example on the fire and life safety that you gave. Also the technology that you mentioned is really good. But what I also equally take forward from what you're saying, and I think you will agree, is that this is not the end. I think responsible developers, we will keep lifting the bar much higher. And there lies a success that we are again not stagnating. We are assessing, reassessing, reevaluating, and bringing. Now there's already a discussion which is going on about EC, smart AHUs, fans, basically indoor air quality, which is to be brought in. And I'm sure all of you who are on the call as experts, you are already exploring this and creating quality spaces, be it daylighting factors, be it central codes on how to be done. So would like to hear at some point of time more about this from all of you. But moving on a related but an extremely important topic, and to Mr. Pradeep, is about the need of these AI-based and data-driven technologies. As we know, it is invariably, unputdownably shaping the future of our real estate. So, Pradeep, I just wanted to ask you that how do you think it is helping develop a more sustainable and environment-friendly infrastructure?
Okay, so there are two parts, and let me go first to the development side, and then I will touch upon operation as well of the real estate. You see that if you want to control anything, there is a need to have the data first, because without monitoring, without having data, it's very difficult that where you should put your levers to control certain things. And nowadays, because of digitalization, possibly people don't prefer just to control, but prefer to automate. Because even if we try to control and we put the human control, it's not going to be optimum. Rather, we should have basically, you can say artificial intelligence or machine learning in place, so that machine can learn by itself and then can efficiently automate. Now coming to basically to the development side, there I see what are the challenges, at least in a countries, and not only specific to India, maybe in other countries as well. You see that what is the biggest challenge, that architect always prepares the drawing in 2D and the construction is always in 3D. And then when anybody is going to the site, it's difficult for him how to compare 2D with the 3D, which is in front of him. And also, in addition to that, suppose we give a drawing to a person and then he is going there, how he's going to look at the things using his eyes only. And his mind is processing this. I understand that technology can do this job much better than any human being, because it's actually the comparing two pictures. One picture that he either has in his mind because of his past experience or because of the drawing that he has in front of him, and another picture that he can see through his eyes. And with the deep learning, deep AI, and there are multiple softwares available. We are also implemented one of the software. It's a very easy and too much accurate. You will be surprised to see that it's even accurate than the human eye. And there is no need of a person to go there even. You can have just drones, fly them. They will do all their jobs. They will collect all those pictures, then compare with already prepared imagery that is based on the BIM, and they will tell you that where is the problem. So AI is actually helping a lot in the, not only that, very recently we are trying to implement one of the solution that is based on the safety, how ensure safety at the construction site. So what it is doing, it's basically just taking the pictures on a certain intervals and seeing that whether the person, though we had to train the software, it's tracking the pictures and saying that whether the guy is having the safety gears or not. But it takes a lot of time to train the software, because software is like a baby, you have to train it. And once it is get trained, then it's very easy for it to basically identify and help you. So it's a very, you can say, technology can be a very good servant, but you have to train it well. So that is on the development side, and it's helping actually monitoring the progress, monitoring the budget, and monitoring the safety, and also monitoring the quality. Because if suppose ID work is going on and you can actually, without going there, you can get these pictures clicked and get the system automatically to compare and then send you a report It's a lot easier than actually sending the person. It takes 2 days to travel there. And for a company like Capital Land, it makes a lot of sense because we have an operation across the world over 30 countries, and you can understand, and in all the asset classes. So it's a very, very actually difficult for a person to fly into other places and do it manually. So therefore, it makes a lot of sense for us to use the digital technology to do this. When it comes to the operation, I would say that in operation, actually, from last so many years, I think industry itself, and I'm not saying just one developer, other developer, most of the developer tried hard that how they can reduce the operation cost. Because construction cost is one time expense, but this operation cost is a running expense. And sometimes it's going to actually affect the attractiveness of the building. So everyone wanted actually to reduce this, not only for the purpose of attractiveness, but also from the purpose of ESG. Because nowadays, ESG is one of the things that any tenant or any customer, whosoever is coming to you, he is interested in knowing that. And when it comes to the ESG pillars, basically, maybe it's waste control, energy control, water control, all those things, and monitoring all these things real time. I think everybody is interested into doing all this. In addition to that, surely it helps in optimizing operation cost. That is one of the benefit that we get. And also, I think that is the, you can say, an immediate benefit that we get by doing this. But long-term benefit, it's also helping in the climate change. We can actually slow down. I'm not saying you can actually, because construction industry is only a certain percent that is causing the climate change, because though it's one of the industry that actually responsible for the carbon, but very small amount. It's not that big. There are other industries that actually doing a lot, but it doesn't mean that we should not do our part. So now the time is not the carbon neutral, but rather going to be carbon negative. So that is what is coming up, that, oh, let's be carbon negative and let's try to use whatever is available. I think the put in the optimum use. Now we are even thinking, and we are going to actually implement in one of the project. You see that in the landscape, we have a multiple type of plants, and all plant is doesn't need the same amount of the water. Though we had already automated our irrigation system for the landscape, but now we are actually going into the data that which of the plant needs what amount of the water and at what level, what is the water content in the soil. At that time, we should start watering that. And by doing this, we are going to automate that as well. So there is a lot of the things which are actually developers are doing. And I'm not saying there's one developer. We are doing, and also other people are doing. But I would suggest that if more and more developers start doing it, then the cost of technology will go down. So I would be more interested if I think more and more developers join this rally and they start also implementing it, then what will happen, that the cost of the technology will go down. And it will, end of the day, it will help the industry. It will help our customers also, because end of the day, the customers' cost of occupying the building will also go down. So that's the take from my side.
That's a very fantastic take, and Pradeepji, I have to say that I must congratulate you on bringing this topic of climate consciousness. I think as responsible builders and industry veterans, it is our duty to take care of the climate. You mentioned, of course, you are absolutely right. We don't contribute much into the carbon footprint in the whole global level, but real estate still has a role to play. So there are UNFCCC guidelines. Earlier it was carbon neutral. It is important, as you mentioned, to be carbon negative. So I think, yes, the point is about more and more. And also coming to the development, as you rightly mentioned, it's all about training the software. It can do much more than what humans can. Humans' brain is prone to adaptation, accepting things, but the machine doesn't do that. So Very interesting example when you said about the drone. There are other examples which we faced. We had to spend a little bit of a time to train the cameras and the people behind it in terms of how much of work has happened on site. So it is actually able to read what is concreted portion from the drone and the tower crane IP camera versus what is the area which is the reinforcement is done but the thing is not put. It just reduces the aspect of people. It has so much of resonance. It actually helps you reduce people, gives you qualitative feedback, unbiased. It makes us the whole site safe. You're sending less people to site and taking it forward on the aspect of quality. These technologies are there. We should embrace more and more. So thank you very much for putting this. We have one last question very quickly. And Bhupesh, I will go over to you. This is again coming about what Schneider has been doing in the real estate. And I just wanted to know, how is Schneider helping the real estate fraternity to prioritize their sustainability goals and create a positive impact on the environment as a technology partner. Over to you.
First, I think again taking the cue from Srinivas and Pradeep, I think Srinivas mentioned about LEED certified platinum buildings, and Pradeep ji talked about some interesting examples of drones and even irrigation systems contributing towards developing those sustainable assets what they are building. But I think when it comes to technologies, what companies like Schneider are delivering to the real estate market, uh, we have gone through a lot of things and reports. I think recent report of UN Environment Program talks about the energy consumption by building, and the interesting facts are that 40% of global energy demand is through buildings, what we are either occupying or building which is there, and 1/3 of greenhouse gases emission is again coming from these buildings. So there is a lot of scope for all of us collectively from the developer side, even from the technology provider side like us, to create the assets which help us reduce the consumption of this energy directly or through indirect measures. And from Schneider, I think we again bring host of solutions, direct and indirect solutions, primarily to help entire developer community to build their assets which are sustainable and not only net zero, net negative, as Pradeep mentioned. So achieving their net negative goals or net zero goals, which are through there. So all the products, which first starting from our side, because we do manufacture a lot of products. So Schneider's 100% product manufacturing is green compliant, only from the recyclable materials, which is the first step. And the second step is the kind of solutions we can help create for our partners, customers, which is there primarily, which can help them achieve their goals to deliver the assets which are complying to the global, local, and the sustainability requirements, what they are trying to deliver it to their customers, which is there. So we have host of solutions directly through our systems. Primarily, just to give you an example, we have ETEP microgrid solutions and we have plan on workplace solutions, which help us create those assets which are most optimized with respect to delivering the efficiencies of the building assets when it comes to the design stage of those buildings, or even the occupants when they reach to those buildings, how they utilize those workplaces in the most efficient manner, which is there. From Schneider, then again, we have host of another services like energy sustainability and services program, which helps our customers even to optimize their existing assets, because you might have created your assets in last 5-10 years with different technologies and different products. But I think here, through this energy sustainability services, we give our customers a platform wherein you can create your energy audits and reconstruct or redesign your existing assets with minimal investments, with a defined return of investment programs. That means you invest and you have a defined period, 1 year to 2 years, with the energy reductions, what you're going to achieve, which is there. Fourthly, I think we create solutions around microgrids, that is self-sustainable solutions where the asset is having a space to create those kind of assets, whether it is through solar or wind directly on the buildings, or having it partnered with the open energy source platforms, which are through the green energy sources. So we act as one of those consultants and auditors to many companies, where we help them create those assets wherein they can have their neutrality coming from sourcing the energy needs from the green sources also, while they can develop their own energy through various means or source it from the utilities. But I think there are different ways by which we can help our partners and customers to achieve those goals. At Schneider, I think we are saying as what we are doing. So we have demonstrated the same in our offices, in our manufacturing, in our facilities, and that is where Schneider has been ranked the most sustainable corporation in 2021 by Corporate Knights. So one, we are eating our own food. That means we do not tell to the market that you should do this, you should do that. We need to do the same at our own house before we go to the market that you need to achieve these kind of goals. So in all, I think directly from product solutions to concepts and technologies, I think we have a host of solutions which can help our partners and customers to deliver their sustainability goals to their customers and their own development.
Wonderful, Mukesh. Thank you so much. We are running almost come to the end of the session. We're just at 5:30. Some questions from the audience. Not will be able to take up all of them, but one question which is quite a nice one, and I think partly Mr. Pradeep has answered this. What changes are being brought to make carbon neutral buildings? So one is about the smartness in irrigation system and the type of plants. Anything in a very rapid fire way, Pradeep, you want to add on this? Anything on this? 2 or 3 bullet points.
Okay, so you see that there are two ways to look at it. Neutral means that it's not generating any carbon. Neutral means it's native is basically net zero. Maybe the better name to tell it that it's net zero. So while you are producing or you are releasing some carbon during the operation, at the same time, how you can actually compensate it by removing some of the carbon or basically like sourcing the energy from the green. But I think more important is that first you reduce your energy need. Whatever energy you are using from the non-green source, and then maximize the use of the green source. And that's the way you can balance it out. So it's basically neutral word is coming from the balancing it, the energy.
Fantastic. So there are some more questions which we will coordinate and get back on this. So it's an interesting session, and thanks to all our experts, Srikanth, Mukesh Gaur, Pradeep, and Bhupesh for your insights. So a couple of things I think audience should take back without running through. One is the examples that has been given on this session. These are success stories which all key experts, you are within your personal efforts as well as within the development companies, organizational goals you are bringing. These successes are important so that people come forward and use this more because it helps. And the idea is about more, which Pradeep mentioned. We need to do more on this. Srikanth also mentioned, as DLF is looking to do more, they are not stopping over here. The more we do, more we are conscious of the climate, more the technology becomes affordable and accessible to every developer. Not everybody is grade A, but it has to go down to every tier of the development. And that actually should be about celebrating the success of the country towards making India climate conscious real estate sector, which we already are, but we can do much more. So thank you very much, all of you on the call, for all your insights, advices, thought processes, and I'm sure the audience and everybody in the industry will benefit out of it. Thank you very much, all of you on the call.
Thank you too. Thank you, Indranil, for being a lovely host. And thanks to Bibor and Rashmi for giving us all this opportunity to come together.
Absolutely fabulous. I just saw some people texting for question. Rashmi, can you take it quickly, Indranil, with your permission?
It's hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just one question that I was receiving in my inbox. So one of them asked about the cost factor to the technologies that is attached. So he's like, most of these technologies are so highly cost intensive, capital intensive. How is this ROI justified? Obviously, for larger companies, it's and this, but for especially at an mid-scale or any such scale, he's like, does that justify the cost that comes along with this? Anyone can probably take this question.
I'll go ahead on this, if I may. It is actually a misnomer that this is an additional cost. It is not. I mean, very interesting point, and I have people we can talk on it for hours with our experts on this. If you are talking, Pradeep mentioned some time back in his speeches about need for newer technologies of precast and steel buildings. Most of these cases, when it comes to construction, advent of these technologies actually reduces the duration of the project. Conventional technologies, actually you don't have any control today because based on labor involvement, migratory labor, the issue of pandemic. So you can guarantee a delivery which is faster through a pre-engineered building. Precast is a part of it, steel buildings are a part of it. You are saving the ROI in that fashion. There are aspects of other technologies which he mentioned, be it drones or be it IP cameras or being other AI-based software, be it BIM. It actually reduces the need of having more and more people on a construction site. And we actually at Colliers have done a very interesting research without going to the specifics, and we are implementing on a beta level on some of our projects, is that we are cognizant of the fact there are too many people on the site, and we want to reduce people and bring in technology which is more cutting edge and precise. So when you bring technology, it's a one-time investment, but it reduces human intervention and reduces cost. That is on the way of technology in construction. Other technologies which I'm happy people can add, each of them in each of their own way is about optimization. If it is a good chiller, it is about an IoT. It monitors the usage of sensors about water, about leakages, about pilferage, about wastage. And these technologies, when you put to the cost on operations, almost each and every developer across the country and occupants are bringing these technologies in to save cost. So the cost that is being used on this on a net level is overall reducing the cost. So that's the way I'd like to answer.
I'm sorry, just trying to take it, Bhupesh, your 2 cents on this.
Yes.
I may like to add a couple of more points what Indranil already covered. So technology is not going to add cost. Eventually, it is going to save. So one cost of an incidence can lead to how big a downtime we all know. So an incidence of any major failure in a building is apart from bringing the entire asset down. So the tenants and the well-being, again, it leads to the well-being. The occupants could be anyone. We are talking about real estate. So if you're in an office, any major shutdown or any major failure can lead to that. So we are working on a technology which talks about the predictability and forecasting of all those kind of failures through artificial intelligence by connecting all these assets in a way. So that could be a very minimal incidence, but if you are able to predict possibly the end of life of a product, what you are using in a system well in advance. So you need to take those corrective actions before those actually reaches their end of life. End of life does not mean that product is actually going to fail, but you will have time to replace and do the corrective actions beforehand. So you are actually avoiding a risk, which is a possible risk. So it leads to a lot of things. So why to bring even a minute of a building down? Data center is an industry you just cannot afford a second of data center going down, because tons and tons of data can be stopped, the business can stop, and you lose money in roads. So eventually creating those digital modern assets with all those kind of interoperability or forecasted maintenance or predictive maintenance needs, which can be embedded through artificial intelligence, can help both the developers and the users save a lot of money.
Rashmi, is there anyone? I can go.
There's one more, but I hope the speakers aren't pressed for time. So it's
No,
actually from Mr. Pradeep and Mr. Srinivasan, actually.
Yeah.
So basically, they ask a lot of times companies collect a lot of data, they install a lot of sensors, a lot of in automation is put in. Uh, how do they kind of derive the usage of these data? A lot of time they say data sits in the dashboard, but understanding the what do you say computation and the application of this data is many a times failed. So how are they addressing this issue? This is what I've got in my chat. So I just thought I'd ask the speakers this particular question. Indranila or any of you all can probably
Yeah, I'll leave to Pradeep and Mrs. Srikant. Any of you would like to take it?
So you see that first thing that whatever the data developers are collecting, I think it's maybe just somebody's understanding that it remains on the dashboard. Possibly it's not. Because on the background, there are analytical softwares that keep on analyzing it minute by minute.
Okay.
And like Capital Land, we have a centralized operation center in Singapore, and we have all the buildings connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that there is a human intervention, let me tell you. There is no human intervention. There is a basically there is already the system understands, and most of the time it automates certain things. So I think initially when it all started, the collection of data, it could have been the case. And let me tell you, without the data, you cannot train the software. There is no way. So initially people do collect the data, analyze it by using some software. Then after that, they actually design the software to control and monitor and control it. And then finally it goes into the automation. So I think it may be somebody's understanding, but most of the companies are using it to automate certain functions, like the energy function. Without, you see that, I recall that a few years back, most of the chiller rooms, or most of the equipment rooms actually, having the human sitting there. Nowadays, how many people are having? At least we don't have anywhere. Correct. So everything is actually done by the machines and automatically. It's always locked and nobody can enter actually. But everything is running as required and optimally. So it's being used. It's not just sitting on the desk.
Quickly, to add to what Mr. Pradeep said, yes, any data collection itself requires a lot of effort, and to maintain it, obviously we will try to lean on this data to try and derive, what sort of downtimes are there, or what betterment can be done, or what improvement can be done. I'm talking generically now. So yes, any data that we collect is obviously put to use. We have a repository. We try and analyze the data and try and see. I mean, it could be as simple as deciding what could be the floor size or a floor plate, or what could be the so yeah, anything. I mean, obviously it's put to use. Any data collection itself requires effort. So yeah, it's not done if it's not going to be put to use, simply put.
I think to add up, I think it's data harvesting is an extremely important and undonable step, because it helps to make better buildings in the future, be it a campus. If we don't check the data of how many cars at what time are coming into a campus, or how many people are using the lift, hence we bring aspects of destination control or smart technologies of which people will enter a campus. So data is important, harvesting is important. It helps to give back in that building as well as future assets and developments, and it is essential.
Great, Bibor. I think that would be all.
All right. I think, gentlemen, what a session. I truly devoured every moment of it. And I really I'm asking for more, if I may say so. And I think when Schneider is there, I think it's a key technology leader for, next generation building. And I think Bhupesh, absolutely everything. And, we are in very safe hands, when we work as one cohesive force, meaning the asset owner, the people who are maintaining the facilities, and people definitely like Schneider who are, giving this technology much ahead in time, making all the real estate and the entire ecosystem of construction absolutely robust and prepared to see what lies ahead in time. So I think we are future ready, if I may say so. So thank you, Bhupesh. Really loved it. Srikant, what a wonderful to see you after so much of time, but absolutely wonderful. Indranee, what a sutradhar, what a great anchor you have been. Loved the way, Dada, you went about doing it. Pradeep ji, absolutely. Thank you so much for so much of knowledge, and lovely audience there who's still sticking around to listen. In that meantime, I thought I'll just note down and say a few things. And I think here it is. The pandemic has really highlighted the need for technology solutions in the areas of facilities and real estate management. The opportunities for digital adoption are plenty, and it's amazing how our esteemed panel speaker shed light on the advantages and uses, and absolutely 100% bang on. And we at ITP take the privilege and really, thank our partner Schneider Electric, who have helped us to co-create this meaningful, credible, and neutral platform, which allows knowledge sharing at the highest level. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, for being with us. The thread of this discussion continues, and one of our very leading titles, Commercial Design Magazine, which is headed by Rashmi, who's behind the camera, will make sure that we have very exciting coverage of this session, both in terms of digital as well as in the print form. We have not done a departure from the print because we still believe there are some very loyal readers to us. So thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you very much.